restless symphony of towering skyscrapers and buzzing neon signs. Amid this chaos thrived 40-year-old Kazuhiro Tanaka, a celebrated businessman whose name was synonymous with power and success. Known for his sharp mind and cold demeanor, Kazuhiro had climbed the corporate ladder, leaving friends and family in the shadows of his ambition. But beneath his polished exterior, Kazuhiro harbored a dark past, one he had buried deep, refusing to confront. One rainy evening, Kazuhiro attended a high-profile business gala. After hours of networking and superficial smiles, he decided to drive back to his estate on the outskirts of the city. The rain was relentless, pounding against the windshield as his luxury car sped along a winding mountain road. A flicker of movement caught his eye. A lone figure stood by the roadside, drenched in the rain. Against his better judgment, Kazuhiro slowed down. It was a woman in her 20s, her long black hair plastered against her face, wearing a tattered white dress. She looked up, her dark eyes meeting his. "Please, I need help," she said, her voice trembling. Kazuhiro hesitated. Something about her felt off. But the cold businessman in him couldn't ignore the optics of abandoning someone in need. With a sigh, he unlocked the door. The woman climbed into the passenger seat, dripping water onto the leather upholstery. She remained silent for the first few minutes, her gaze fixed out the window. Kazuhiro couldn't shake the unease creeping up his spine. "What's your name?" he asked, his tone clipped. She didn't respond. Instead, she turned to him slowly, her expression unreadable. "I'm just trying to get home," she finally whispered. Her vague answer irritated him, but he focused on the road. The rain grew heavier, the wipers struggling to clear the glass. After some time, Kazuhiro noticed the woman's reflection in the rearview mirror. Her face seemed blurred, like a smudged photograph. He glanced at her directly. Her features were intact. But when he returned his gaze to the mirror, the distortion worsened. "Are you feeling all right?" he asked, his voice betraying a hint of concern. She turned to him, her face expressionless. "I'm fine, but do you remember me?" His hands tightened on the steering wheel. "No. Should I?" The woman didn't answer. Instead, she began to hum a tune, a hauntingly familiar melody. Feeling unnerved, Kazuhiro decided to stop at a roadside gas station. The neon lights flickered erratically as he pulled into the empty lot. "I'll be back," he said, stepping out of the car. The gas station clerk greeted him with a nervous smile. "Long night, huh?" Kazuhiro muttered. The clerk didn't respond. Instead, he stared past Kazuhiro, his face pale. "Sir, who's that in your car?" Kazuhiro turned sharply. The woman was gone. The passenger seat was soaked, but there was no trace of her. Shaken, Kazuhiro got back into his car and resumed his drive. The rain had eased, but the road ahead felt darker than before. Minutes later, he spotted her again. She was standing in the middle of the road, illuminated by his headlights. Her head was tilted, her hair covering her face. Kazuhiro slammed on the brakes, his heart pounding. "You're not real," he whispered, trying to steady his breath. The woman approached slowly, her bare feet splashing in the puddles. "You don't remember, do you?" she said, her voice echoing unnaturally. Kazuhiro's mind raced. The tune she had hummed earlier, it was the same song his wife used to sing. His wife, who had disappeared years ago after a bitter argument, one he had stormed away from without looking back. Before he could react, the woman lifted her head. Her face was gone, a smooth, featureless void. Kazuhiro screamed, his voice swallowed by the storm. The figure leaned closer, its featureless face inches from his. "You left me," it whispered. The car's engine roared to life on its own, the vehicle accelerating down the twisting road. The rain intensified, blurring the world outside. Kazuhiro woke up in his car, parked outside his mansion. His clothes were damp, and the time on his watch had frozen at 3:33 a.m. Every night since, he has seen her, on the road, in his home, even in the reflections of his polished office windows. The Noppera-bō, doesn't speak anymore, but its silent presence reminds him of the life he abandoned for his success. Kazuhiro now lives in constant fear, a prisoner of his guilt and the faceless specter that refuses to let him forget.